Hi friends, it's so good to have you here with us today. I am Teocah.
And I'm Adrian.
And together we co-lead the NGO known as Renew Caribbean. Renew Caribbean works throughout the Caribbean to advance education and awareness programs, as well as access to energy and renewable energy interventions. Today, Adrian and I are going to have a quick conversation on our project that we just wrapped in Guyana. So Adrian, briefly, tell us, what was the project in Guyana about? And tell me what really inspired you to conceptualize the project in the first place.
Well, the Amerindian population in Guyana makes up about 8% of the entire population. They're the first peoples. However, they are among the poorest in the actual country, only living on perhaps $300 US a month. And in their home, where they live, generally there's no access to running water and very little access to actual energy. So they depend heavily on solar energy for their power supply. So we saw an opportunity to train some young persons from the rural interior by training them at a hostel in Georgetown, which is where they congregate and where they come to spend days when they come from the interior.
That's really beautiful. So tell us a bit about the project. So the project had training, and then there was also an actual installation of a system at the hostel. Tell us briefly about that.
So what we did, we actually installed a 10 kilowatt system, solar PV, at the hostel. And while we were doing it, we were undergoing training with about 30 persons from the hostel.
Beautiful. And we would have started the implementation of this project more than a year ago with the support of the Policy Center of the New South. And then came the pandemic. Tell us, how did you adapt the project given the pandemic?
Well, essentially, what we had to do, we had to go to online training. Like everyone else, we had to now focus on remotely training persons via online platforms where we did training twice a week, and the majority of the persons had to actually be trained using their cell phones because that was one of the only means of getting access to communication.
Great. So I already know this info, but tell those looking on, what was the final result and the impact of the project overall?
Well, now at the hostel, they actually have a means of backup. So in Georgetown, they suffer from a lot of power outages and blockages. And what that does, it essentially makes the hostel a place where at night sometimes there's no power, making it unsafe for many persons at the hostel. So we now have a backup system installed that they themselves helped us install. And we now have an area where we have persons who are trained actually in the installation, design and maintenance of solar PV systems. So at the end we have 30 persons, some of whom who have gone back to the actual interior, who can now maintain some of these systems that they have and who can now advise others as to the benefits of using solar as their main power supply.
And that's beautiful, because what that creates when persons are trained and then they go back into the community, it also creates a multiplier effect, because then they share their knowledge within the community, but also they can now, because the indigenous communities have so many off-grid and solar systems, they can also provide maintenance services within that community. So that's really good. So what do you see as the sustainability or the continued impact of this project, and do you have anything in store for scaling this project overall?
So essentially, what we have done, unlike other projects, we actually committed to 2 years of training, even after support has been removed in terms of at the end of this first part. We will continue doing training, and having the pandemic has actually showed us how we can do training of persons online. So we don't actually have to be there physically. As well, having trained persons who are now going back into the interior, right, it really creates sustainability on a level that allows us to create a multiplier effect, as you will, to ensure that persons who interact with them as well are trained in renewable energy.
Awesome. So are you considering any future projects? I know things are a bit uncertain as to when we can get back on the ground in Guyana, but you can share with our audience just briefly the projects that we're considering within the next few months as we scale up and do future work.
So in Guyana in particular, what we're looking to do is to sort of replicate these training sessions in other parts of the country. So with continued support, we're looking to do other type systems in Linden and also in Amsterdam, so we can actually reach other groups of the Amerindian people within Guyana.
Thanks so much, Adrian. So guys, there you have it. I hope you understood very clearly the work that we are trying to advance and the impact that is being created. We want to extend a sincere appreciation to all our partners, all our volunteers on the ground in Guyana and in Trinidad who work with our NGO. And we'd also like to say a special thank you for the support of the Policy Center of the New South. So from us, until next time, thank you so much and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.